dramatic scene at a tent encampment in South Bend. People refusing to move after the city told them they had to be out by 10 this morning.
The tense confrontation happened several hours ago as protesters and police faced off near the encampment at the corner of Michigan and Monroe, which is on city property. 16 News Now reporter Ibrahim Samra has been following this story. He's live in South Bend with the very latest for us. So, Ibrahim, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you that the biggest question of today was where our people are going to go if they indeed were forced to move. And now they're here at Doulos Chapel Church. That's just 2 blocks east of Michigan Street near Monroe in Michigan. And of course, this has been something that people have been talking about for weeks. And of course, it escalated to its peak. It was really pandemonium during the pandemic, but really what it is in a nutshell. And of course, if you take a look at the video from earlier today, you could see that people showed up today. Protesters were there, activists were there, and of course, residents were refusing any entry to any city workers that were coming in, police officers. But of course, police did up the amount of police officers that were on crew there, and of course they came in. They had forced people out of their tents. They have since moved here again to Doulos Chapel. And I guess the biggest question was, again, where are people going to go? And if they are separated, is this potentially going to spread the virus throughout South Bend? If indeed some people do have the virus in those tent encampments, which some people have said. And another thing is that we've never really seen this before. We've never really have done this before. We've never seen dozens of officers who have had to come and do something in this setting with masks on. So we've had a lot of reaction from people who were there, Scott Wiskowski, Tim Scott, and also some protesters and activists and residents as well. So here's what they had to say about the whole thing.
Right. You're causing a public health crisis. This is against CDC guidelines.
We're here to clean.
No!
Shelters ain't letting us in because of the virus. Winter amnesty's closed. Where do we go? You take our tents down, where do we go? We go to the next spot. So the Great South Bend can say, oh look, it's a homeless person. Why don't he get a job? Why don't you give me a job?
There's nobody trying to help us with this. But at the same time, they want to keep telling us to move. Move where? Where do we have to go? We don't have anything.
They don't have lights. They can't. We come by here and charge their phones. We come by here and we take them to take showers. We do everything we can do to help them. And we just ask them for help from the government, from the city, that with our tax money. We need people to get in touch with the governors, the mayors. Where they gonna go? Where they gonna go today? We move them somewhere else, we'll have to move them again. Where? To the middle of the street is the next option. We have nowhere else for them to go.
Now, we would like to help in any way possible, any way, shape, or form, and we have done that behind the scenes. We're not going to be at the forefront doing these things. But when it comes to law enforcement and there's an absolute refusal, defiance to break the law, then we intervene.
Moving forward, what we got to do is open up the conversation. We have to have the Common Council, residents, even the advocates, even the homeless, and residents and businesses all come together and try to work on this problem. Not a quick fix, not something that we have to do in 48 hours, but a fix that is long-term and lasting, and that's going to take some time.
Now, some of those solutions will be discussed tonight at a city council meeting at 7 o'clock. And for now, they'll be spending, a lot of the residents who are at the tent encampment will be spending it here at Doulos Chapel over the next 24 hours. That they'll have the next 24 hours to stay here. But of course, we still do not know what will happen. After that, we asked the chief if indeed they were going to set up on city property again, what would happen. And he said everything is dealt on a case-by-case basis. But of course, there's CDC guidelines, there's recommendations, and then there's the law. And that's coming from Scott Wiskowski. And that's some of the words that he said about their actions in this. And of course, we'll look to keep you guys updated on air and online as we learn more through this story. So Lauren, we send it back to you in the studio.
Quite the scene playing out in South Bend today. Ibrahim Samra, he's been on the story all day long. Ibrahim, thank you so much. And again tonight, Mayor James Mueller will outline his plan for the homeless in South Bend. As Ibrahim said, residents had until 10 a.m. to remove their belongings and leave the site. That did not happen. The mayor says he hopes to open a city-run homeless shelter. He'll address the Common Council again tonight at 7. We'll have the latest on air for the news at 11 and online at WNDU.com.